you see is done here is that you've gotten an ampersand sign, that's the and sign under here. So the and sign does it. That's a shortcut. So let's say I'm here and they're separate. If I type in this ampersand sign, it's going to tuck it under the same way. Right? Now the ta, we'll try the same thing and see if it comes out correct. And nope. So that's done. Too much ligature.
We'll just have to do the return sign.
So we can do return. I want to try one more thing before we do though, is that I want to put the X1 and the N16 together. So let's unligature U first.
Oh, I see what you're doing. Okay.
So I want to stack these vertically. So I can come here to group vertically and I want to see if both will tuck underneath nicely. So I can either do it from here or I can come down to here and I can just put a colon in between those two. When I do the colon, then they come vertically. These two have come vertically. Now I want to ligature and see if this will come. So let's try the ampersand sign and see.
Hey!
Nice. Alright, so this is what we're looking for. And now we have coming after, he coming after, and ra, the sign coming after that. That wasn't so painful. And I want to see.
But couldn't ra be directly in between the two?
That's how it usually is. Just because on this one you see it coming under, and it's coming under for the sake of space. You see you have a very narrow column. So if I put ra in between, then it would pull these out of, push them out of where they are. Now another thing I want to try is here you see you have chenu, which are referred to as cartouches. And for these I want to see if we can vertically put all of them into one. Alright, so it's done it horizontally for us, but it hasn't done all of them together. The other thing, let's actually undo that.
No. You don't want to put all that into a cartouche.
No.
I mean a chenu.
No, I don't.
Okay.
So, actually I wanted to do that just as an experiment to see if they will all come vertically. But what we have here is the closest.
Shen is one, shenu is plural?
Right.
Okay.
So that's how we have gotten all of them in the same order that we've seen here before. So if you're doing it in a text, then you could keep them all, horizontal. Like let's say I'm typing in Word. If I want to copy and paste it, then I can just copy and paste it horizontally all left, copy and paste it all right. Now let's say.
So what about the spacing? Because this is like really big spaces.
Right, that's the reason why I was trying to see if I can put it all into one chenu and see if that would take care of my spacing issue by doing that, but it didn't pull everything together. So let's see.
Insert half space.
So that's going to add an additional space.
Oh,
that's
that's
not
right.
what we need.
You said insert half space.
So that's what it's done right down here.
Yeah.
So let's see if we can get group vertically. No, that's only for one line. Right. So basically, it looks like what we'll have to do is kind of settle for this in, let's say, Word. And what we do is anything we do here, we'll paste it into our word processing program. So we could deal with the spacing in the word processing program. But generally what you see people do in books is if it occurs like this vertically in the original text, that usually they'll just do it as a horizontal line and continue typing. So here I have my paragraph here, that I'll just do the same things in the same order that you saw here, but I'm keeping it in a horizontal line. I'll put the transliteration underneath that line, translation under that line. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yes, I'm even thinking we should do that as an assignment.
I'm just thinking
Do
of
that and then the alliteration and the
Does
translation.
any of this translate English into the letter?
Yeah.
No, no. But one thing that you do have, and matter of fact, let's see if I can show you.
I'm right, like Cardigan is awesome.
Why that name specifically? I think I've shown you another site that is useful called pharaoh.se. Have I shown you all that?
Yes, 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 you have.
Maybe you've seen it, Doc, but
Yes,
Pharaoh.s is in symbol E is in easy.
Exactly. And it has the names of various Nesu rulers. No need to connect to the internet to show you this.
Or we're gonna try to find a ruler whose name is, my name is similar to theirs.
Yeah, we can do that too. That can be a homework assignment.
Pharaoh Carnita. Carnitos and Aquilos.
Right.
Doc, you get down over there. I'm gonna find you after lunch.
Say again?
Dr. Z.
kudos for you, man. You're doing well too. Okay. So what's the assignment now?
And what this will do is, well, I'll just show you. So my internet is working now. I think I'll show you this with the dictionary. So here, if we have all of these together, I can copy these here. Then I can go back to my JSesh and I can paste these in. There we go. Right? So I can paste these
That
in.
is placenta right there.
That is placenta by all means. Just taking a second. But what this does is it gives you the name of all of the rulers according to basically Manetho's dynasty breakdown. So here we come here, and let's say we want to go to the New Kingdom, and we want to get the ruler who has more names than everybody. That's Ramesu Usa Ma'at Ra Satepin Ra, also known as Ramesses II.
So that would be like, your mama call you Kevin, your friends call you Junebug, your club name is Slick.
Five.
Your coach calls you Knucklehead.
So you have different names for different things. So you have Heru name, so that's for refer to Horus name. You have the Nepti name, that's the two ladies. The Nesu BT name, then what's referred to as a throne name, and then the birth name. Some refer to them as prenomen and nomen using the French type of deal.
Okay, so what if we want to go to, what if we want to look up just female,
So they're here as well. So now we've come here, and it says the most prolific builder the kingdom ever saw. His name can be found virtually everywhere a temple had been built. This is why when I was there, I was joking that if you know how to read his name, you can read 50% of everything that is written there. The sheer number and variance of his names has no rival, and that's actually the case. So we'll come here to the variance of Ramesu Mary Amun. There we go.
You know, I'm reading a book on him right now,
Okay.
and it's called Ramesses the Great. It's by some European woman. The woman is doing this Manchester Egyptology class online, and I'm not really vibing what she's saying. She was saying that, you know, he had, you know, so many wives, so they said. And, you know, Nefertari, I think, was the main one. And then there was a woman named, something named started with I, is two parts to it. And they had so many children. And he's saying that he married, they said, she's saying that he married all his daughters. And he had children by his daughters too. I don't know if I believe that. And if he did, then he was a half caste. That's my conclusion.
If he did, then he's nasty.
Yes, but have you heard that?
I've heard lots of rulers marry their daughters.
Really?
That's very nasty.
Yeah. So that was something for different reasons to get legitimacy to the throne.
Yeah, but I
And
think it
then
was
also-
after a certain period of time. It wasn't in the early 90s.
It's just
Um,
nasty anytime.
I'm not sure of a start date. I'll have to actually research and
Ah.
see a start date for that. So it wasn't seen as something that was common among the population, but it was something to get legitimacy to royalty, to make sure that your own progeny would be able to ascend to the throne.
Right, but they weren't incestuous type marriages. Now this one is saying that he actually fathered
this-
children.
So this is it, yeah, that marry your own children, give birth to children, that's the same.
I don't believe that. You know, 'cause
And-
white people, they make me so sick. Even this
So
woman
that's
in
true, you
school.
got white folks, but then also we have to think about us putting our modern day interpretation onto the way it was thought of then.
Right.
Now, another thing is that also is attributed to where you have in the royal family different disabilities developing. So in modern day African societies, various modern day African societies, they have different rules where you can't marry within your own family for X reasons.
Right.
So part of that may have come up because we saw the effects of doing that previously.
Mm.
But you know, you have to do research. Don't say I don't believe it because it's somebody white saying it, and don't say I do believe it because it's somebody. Do the research and find out, is this actually what the case was?
But
Yeah.
they didn't.
But
really
my
take
understanding
out
from, you know, just my
Right.
accumulative reading is that it was done, but it wasn't like what we call marriages, you know, because even
Like a
marriages were
romantic
different.
marriage.
Marriages were completely different than what we see them today. And that there was a tie, you know, I'm saying a bond created based on, you know, throne and royalty and whatever, but it wasn't incestuous. It was on purpose for ritual and, you know, rulership purposes. And that it was later on when the foreigners came in and those mixed breed people, that they didn't understand it and they took it literal.
So you're
that-
saying it was symbolic, though? It wasn't literal?
Yes, yes, it was some kind of, it was symbolic based on, you know, keeping, you know, making sure future generations, their generations stayed in line for.
But the way that that's done is through the bloodline, and that's by having children with. Your right to rule comes from the woman,
Right.
so that's why Aset is depicted as the throne.
So
That's what
you
we're looking
think,
for.
you kind of think that they actually were having children?
I've read that there are various rulers who, to make sure their son will be the next ruler, that they marry either their cousin, their sister, their children, their daughter, so forth and so on.
Nah, I got the half sisters and that thing, yeah.
So the other,
But
what we're getting at is you're saying the word incest.
Yes.
So that is a value judgment that if you do this, regardless of whether it's to make sure that your own son ascends to the throne, it's the word incest, so that's a value judgment,
Mhm.
right? So what I'm saying, let's make this a homework assignment. Did any rulers marry their own children or daughters, and why did they do that, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't want us to say, I don't believe it, or I do believe it. This isn't a church, so it's not about belief. Let's go and find the information. And the best thing would be to go and find the original text. So then you're not even dealing with any European interpretation. What did this ruler say he did?
Yes.
Did he say, I married my daughter to do, so this is your research. That's not been a research topic of mine, so that's why I'm not, just off the top. But I've come across in various texts, this ruler married his daughter because now otherwise his son would not be the ruler. You understand?
Mhm.
The next ruler will be, if I have, you know, somebody else who's in my family, it's traced through the matrilineage,
Oh,
right?
gotcha.
So my son may not be the next ruler if there's somebody else coming from that same matrilineage who has more of a right to the throne.
So it's a matter of national security.
As a matter of national security. So now let's say I want to make sure that my own progeny, my own son is going to be the next ruler. Then you have to marry somebody who has the right to the throne, and the only way to get through that is through the blood. So it may not be your daughter, it may not be your sister, but it's going to be somebody who who has the right to the throne. This is how you have the foundation of what's called new dynasties, because you have somebody who is not royal, but he marries somebody who has the right to the throne, and because of that marriage, now he's able to rule, and then that next lineage is able to rule on the basis of the other children who are coming about. So this is my reading, but again, the point is, listen to the words of our own ancestors, do the research and read what we said about it.
Without European interpretation.
Without the European interpretation.
I too have read kings marrying their own children. And so is it another trick from Europeans to make us frown on incest?
I pretty much found an incest regardless of the culture.
No, I
Other
mean-
people doing it, I'm just not feeling that.
So
Go ahead.
generally,
I'm
among the
saying-
population, this was not seen as something that was to be done.
Right.
The reason why it was to be done is, here your
Right.
royalty, who's gonna be the next ruler?
Um,
So it's more, like you said, a matter of quote unquote national security, to make sure so anybody else doesn't need, to do that per se. So the other thing is, and what you're getting at is, we have value judgments based on the culture that we were raised in. In America, this is good. In America, this isn't good. If you do this, you're illegal. If you don't do, so what I'm saying is, we don't necessarily, now, at the end of the day, we do all our research, we still say, I don't wanna have children with my
yeah.
daughter,
Yeah, I'm
right?
myself.
But before we can get to any type of evaluation of is this beneficial for African people or not, we have to know the facts of this is what was done, this is not what was done, and then we move forward from there. So I'm saying we have to get to,
Yes, I see
let's
what
go
you're
to
saying.
an
I see
original
what you're
text,
saying.
right?
That's a good position to hold, just to find the truth out.
right?
And
And then
then-
decide from there.
Right.
But
Do
even,
we
Doc,
wanna-
I think the only, I totally agree with your apologetics, but, well, maybe I shouldn't say apologetics.
Okay.
But, with the process that you're advocating, I think that should always be our process. But I think I probably disagree with where you're coming from with the phraseology value judgment. Because it presupposes that we could be jumping to a culture-specific value that we don't necessarily need to be jumping to. And I think that's absolutely relevant in most cases. But in this case, we have a biological substantiation for not having children with our sons and daughters, especially in the interest of national security, because of the increased likelihood of genetic deformity. So value judgment, social constructs aside, biologically speaking, nature says that's not a really good idea.
So how did we learn that?
Nature.
So I'm saying somebody had to, you know this
Somebody
now.
had to do that.
You know this now because
Right,
somebody has been
did it.
doing this.
Yeah, and they're
So
like,
what I mentioned before is, in various African societies, even amongst the royalty, they have laws that you're not allowed to do this. So you have a lot of Asantes who marry Ewe women, other things like this. So you have exogenous, you have to go outside to do it.
Yes.
But we're getting to, how did we learn that there's a biological thing? Somebody had to do this.
Of course.
So, when I'm saying value judgments, at that time, they weren't judging it like this is a bad thing. They're saying they're doing it. They're actually in the process of doing it, and nobody's saying, you can't do this, you can't do this. So at the time that they're in it, they're like, this is fine. Eventually, somebody had to learn, this is not fine. There's a problem with doing this, right? So I'm saying, look at it in the cultural context. We ourselves are looking back and saying what they're doing is biologically wrong, morally, whatever we're saying. In that context, is that what they were saying? And if they weren't saying that, it was based on what knowledge? It was based on what lack of knowledge? Right? So, anyway, you don't have to go have children with your children. That's definitely not what we're advocating. But we're coming.
But people are doing it today,
People were doing it yesterday too.
I guess.
And the day before that, and the day before that.
And I'm thinking
People doing
even
it
it could
tonight.
be, I'm saying some leftover stuff from, past life, what people are doing this. I don't know.
Well, we are here in a school, so we are researchers
Well, as
to find
original
out
as
information.
first people, my sense going from the precedent of first people, we're the
Uh-huh.
first who invented,
Yeah,
started
yeah,
everything. We're also the first who started craziness.
Yes, yes, we probably, I can see it doing, because they say that's how the albinos were created. You know, over all that time, you know, of too much close blood, you know, mixing, that they were created.
Actually, in my presentation yesterday, there's a specific gene that's the same one that's associated with Eurasians. That I was looking at an article talking about in Brazil, there was an older woman, I want to say in the 50s or 60s, then a younger one also somewhere in the maybe teens or early 20s. But basically it was saying that this exact same gene was linked to their albinism as well. So basically you have these genes that are copied correctly, and then this one specific gene is copied incorrectly and it triggers the albinism in both of them, and that's the same thing that's tied to the Eurasian. All right, so what we were getting to is Ramisu. So here you see that we have all of this code underneath here. What do you think this will do?
Gonna pop up that shen without the shen.
Right, but we can add that. So let's just type this in here. And you notice that some are colons, some are asterisks. So that means it's going to give it to us exactly as it is, stacked as it should be stacked here, so forth and so on.
Yeah, facing in the right directions and everything.
Exactly. Then we could come here to group manipulation and go to this one.
So Doc, why is it on some of the shen, that little line at the end is on the right side and some of the?
Because it's dependent on, are you reading left to right or are you reading from right to left?
Okay.
So this is the back, this line that we're mentioning is the back, so that means we're reading from left to right. Right? And what you notice here, you have a dash here, right? So if I knew what that was, I could just type it out like this. The bracket here on this side, and then on this side.
So now I'm a little confused.
Okay?
We have characters facing, we have tut facing each other.
Yes.
So the way we determine where to read is where the line at the end of the shen is, and then that tells us go that way?
No, so these are grouped. Now, both of these are honorific transposition, and one does not outrank the other per se. So therefore, instead of putting one on top of the other, you put them side by side and you put them facing each other. So what we're reading is Ra, Mesu, that's where we are here. Then we have Mary, Amun, and then we come down to the rest. Merut, Mi, and it should be Atum. Right?
So you knew to go that way because of Ra?
Well, because I already knew it.
Oh. Okay.
But here, yeah, you have Ra here. So Ra, Mesu, we already knew that this is Ra Mesu because of various other ones. So we see
But
Ra,
how do you know
Mesu,
which way to read
Mary,
it? How do you
Amun.
not
Right,
start
that's what I
with,
was-
how do you know not to start with, who is that?
Ra.
That's Amun.
Amun, Mary Amun.
Because we're starting going into, we're reading from left to right in this case. So we're going
in
into
here,
Ra
so this
first.
is the first one. So you would go Mary Amun.
No. So we're starting with Ra. We're reading here from Ra because we're reading from left to right. So I'm pointing here. That was easy.
Okay.
So we're reading in this case from left to right. So the first thing that we're going to say here is Ra.
Okay.
Right?
I got
Now what's the Ra tied to? Mesu. Now if we just have this jumble here and we don't know what's what, we've
Right.
seen in other places where we just have Ra Mesu, right? We don't have Mary Amun, we don't have whatever.
And-
So we know that the Ra and the Mesu goes together, right? Now we have this other one, Mary, which is beloved of, and beloved of whom? Amun. So we're going to start off reading into whichever divinity is pointed towards where we're reading into. So
Okay.
we're reading from left to right. So the one that's facing me is the one that I'm going to start reading into,
Okay.
right?
Ra Mesu.
and we have various other ones, Ramisu Mary Amun, Ramisu Mary Amun, and it's giving you the different variations on this. Now here we also have Usar Ma'at Rasatepin Ra. Now let's say I want to put this in here, I can just copy it and come down. Let's come down to the next line. And guess what?
That's deep how they tied all this stuff in together.
I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yes, our ancestors are very deep how they tie this all in together.
No, I'm talking about these programs, how you can interchange these programs.
Yeah, I knew you were talking about that. I said, but if that's deep, imagine our ancestors who invented the whole thing in the first place. The concept of let's put this all.
It's simple, but it's elegant.
Right.
I mean, conceptually it's simple, but the nuances of it, everything, which is elegant.
So here, we're starting with Usar, Ma'at, Ra, Setep, and Ra.
So, yeah, I'm totally lost with what you said. But that's
Right. So the Heru Horus name, Nepti name, Golden Horus name, that's the Beak, Nebu name.
I think it's interesting in these last maybe 20 or 30 years or so, how people have taken some of these names and like Ram, Nefer, Amen.
Oh, hey, I don't know where you've been, but I mean, there's a whole nother generation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, after Ronette
Mhm.
young people now, all of my Facebook friends are Kimmy, that's our children. Kimmy man, they have really, it has taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, last 20, 30 years or so.
Yes, even, yeah, young people are really on it.
Yep. So we have all of these, and it's very easy to deal with. So we can go to any ruler from any of the dynasties and get it done.
So what about the female royal?
So they're in the same line. So you have to know where you are. So let's say we
They
come
don't have
to.
them all together in some
It's
of
not
the
separated.
packages.
No, it's not separated.
Okay.
Let's come.
Nefertari almost in the 18th dynasty.
No,
Nefertari.
So she's not listed as a separate ruler because she didn't rule outright.
So they have to be outright ruled.
So this is only outright ruler. So you do have.
What about when you're going before that, prior to that, to like, ancient India, like, what is it, Wawat? Is that correct? Wawat?
Wawat is in Nubia, yeah. So you're saying
So
what?
what about when we're going to rulers in that time? I know this is the Kemet, context, but do we have the same type of, nomenclature for Wawat? For
In terms
rulers?
of rulers,
In
to
terms
have
of
the different
rulers?
ones. I know the names of, so if you read text in Middle Netra, it'll mention the name of this ruler, the ruler of this was called this, the ruler of this was
Okay.
called this. There is a writing system called Merowitic, referred to as Merowitic, which has, for most people, they say it hasn't been deciphered. I know one scholar who says that he has deciphered it, but I haven't read his works to see, all right, is this legit or is this not? But if we get into that, then some of that information would be presumably in Merowitic, because that would be, just like how Middle Netra goes for Kemet, that would be whatever they have in there, perhaps the names of rulers, you know, the trips that they went on, the wars that they won, so forth and so on. All that type of information would be in the Merowitic. But other than that, if you read Middle Netra, then oftentimes they'll mention, oh, I went down to Kush and so ruler was there, whatever the interaction was.
And are you aware of a site or something that at least captures some of those references?
No.
Of those names?
No, I haven't seen, like, this is the only site that I've seen like this. It has the names of all these rulers listed, so forth and so on. It may
But
be
in
there.
terms
I
of
have
when
to
you're
look
just
up.
reading the netter and every now and then somebody will make a reference where I went down to this and I did that.
Yes, so that's common. So if you look,
Compiling those names.
it may be compiled, but I just haven't done a search for a whole list of names of Nubian rulers. Now, there are scholars of Nubia, just like there are scholars of Kemet, so I'm sure in their text they tell you offhand.
Oh, that's the 5 domains: mineral, plant, animals, human, and spirit. In terms of the names, 5 domains for the names.
No, I'm not
No,
getting what you're
that's,
saying.
according to Mufundisha, right?
I think so, yes.
Yes.
Saying
And
what?
when you're given the 5 names, they're categorized in the mineral, plant, animal, human, and spirit.
No, that's not the names.
No, it's not the names, it's how they're categorized. So that, for instance, like your nickname, your this name, your professional, or whatever.
That's not what he
Here.
was saying. Mufundisha, he was saying, so let me pull it together, that, it didn't have to do with the names. It had to do with the metal nTr itself, that the metal nTr is taken from those 5 domains. And for us to be more, better metal nTrists, we need to study and master those 5 domains, starting with the mineral, then the plant, then the animal, like that. That we needed to master those domains.
Okay, I think I'm saying the same thing you're saying.
Not, it didn't have nothing to do with, it didn't have anything
But
to do
maybe-
with
Maybe
Kemet
I'm not saying
names.
it the same way, because I totally agree with what you just said.
Yeah, but it didn't have
I'm
anything to
saying
do
it.
with the names of Kemet, but it had to do with the entire language is based on those 5 domains. And that as human beings and perfecting, that we have, in order to perfect, to become divine, we needed to master all those domains, starting with the so-called lowest mineral, on through the plant, the animal, the human, and divine. And that has to do with us becoming that ourselves. And then all of it, we are all of it, is all in us. But to become divine and at one with all those elements, you have to master, study it. So it just, the only thing I'm saying, it wasn't in reference to divine names. You would, the 5 is completely separate from the 5 so-called royal or king names. Which have to do with, that, what do they call it? Chikesha, some word they use in Egyptology. But anyway, the standardization of those royal names, the Nesubidi,
Big Nebu,
yes.
Nebu,
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah, those 5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let us come back to our text and let's try to get some more writing in. We have some time. So let's come here to, let's look at the right hand side.
Can you erase those?
Indeed.
Can you erase those?
B, hein?
Ouais.
I want to give you this so you can put what is
B
that?
mon pari numero, right?
Ouais, ouais.
What is it? The, tweet.
Oh, you can erase all.
Mm.
You can erase all.
Oh,
It's gone again.
it disappeared.
Mhm.
Where's your book?
Dr. Funny that.
No, that her horns were different, so I didn't realize that's what she was making. Her wet.
So when are you ready to do yours? You're,
Yeah, I don't like
you like to give commentary on what everybody else is doing?
Yes.
You gotta get in at the window.
Me. Everybody got a place. Oh, yeah, I had a
She's a dry erase board coach.
Yeah, I see. There's a future in that, I'm sure.
Who is this?
That's what.
Okay, so once that's the determinative to let you know definitely this is what. Okay, and this is, she's actually a canine. Okay, that's the feather. Is that the feather?
Yeah.
That's like her standard.
So we'll actually go to the dictionary and I'll show you what it looks like in the more articulated form.
That's her standard, right?
I'm not sure what is seen as being a female.
Oh. Okay. I don't know why I assumed she was. Oh.
It may be, but yeah, it's definitely a canine on the standard.
I guess
Anytime you
it's
see
because the
standard-
T.
The T?
That's
maybe.
maybe why.
The T should be there because the word for road is feminine. So you say wet, you're saying opener, and then while wet is roads, so the opener of roads. So it may apply. So it may apply to the opener of roads, but the roads are female, not the T applying to the entire thing.
Okay.
So the breakdown of it.
Okay. This your eraser is worth the expense.
Yeah, you think so?
It sticks right up on the board. So I have plenty felt. So when you run out of felt, you know, give me one and I'll cut you some more red, gold, green, and color you want.
Alright.
Yeah. That's why I put some. Hey. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the write-up, and I've always seen it as male, and that's what it said.
It
So
is.
wet, opener of the waves. So it's coming from the fact that the word for wave is feminine.
Okay. Oops.
The word for waves is feminine. Originally a ward deity out of Asut, often depicted as a wolf standing at the prow of a solar boat. Some interpret that web was seen as a scout going out to clear routes for the army to proceed forward. And that's what you see here. This is din, and that's wet.
Oh, Doc, now they're done. You can
So
do
the
it.
first time smiting the east. So that's a din. That's the standard of the east. Okay. All right, very good job. Who else?
So, Doc, were you gonna show us how this looks, the dog with the?
Oh yeah. So let's come here.
WT?
That's right. So this is one, we're not seeing a standard, but we'll see if we have another. Okay, here we go. This is what we see here in one variation. Now we see that this is a different variation than what we
Yeah,
have
because that
in the
looks like a
carbon.
nautilus.
Right?
That was good. So this is one that looked like a nautilus.
What?
That's
Well,
one.
I have that one.
This is one. This is one that we saw before. And that's different from the one we have. So that's the four that we have here. This here on the standard.
Look at that, isn't it?
So here, we don't have the mace underneath. Right? Anybody else want to try?
That's a good question.
Upside down up, was that that?
Say again?
The up, that's upside down, is that that?
This?
Yes.
No, that's not an ankh. This is a lasso.
Oh,
Right? So we'll see that if we come back here, we'll see it under ropes and fibers, rope fiber baskets, and it's here.
it reminds me of,
Yeah, it's some, but you see it's tied here, and it's just a rope. It has a sound like a what?
what?
All right, let's try the middle, and I'll probably when we close out on. Anybody? What's your DG?
Oh, my, after one
Ju-
night,
how many feet?
it took that one.
Which panel?
It's not, I have.
Which panel?
We were in to a line. You said wasn't allowed to download because of what?
Not from the Apple Store.
Ah,
So it was on the, thing I gave you, or did I get it?
no, you didn't.
Oh, it is. So if it's on this, would I be able to use it?
No, how it works. It's like they're very nasty.
Yeah.
So which one are you doing?
The center.
Still downloading.
Which center? The big center?
Yes.
Still downloading.
No, I wasn't downloading. They have the program release on it called Java. I wasn't downloading that.
Totally wrong. Where is it?
This metal panel. Oh, we started from there. Started from there.
Oh, is that where you start from?
No, he will start from the top, but he started from here. So
Okay,
let's.
okay.
So this is austere side. This is the wet side.
Doc, would you, let me know, when the last session for the tree planting, so I can plan my vacation? You said, I think we got about 4 months.
Something like that.
I told you Shakesha is doing a PhD from Manchester University. And it's, it's really testing her everything. But those white people, they are so dogmatic about their Europeanizing. And it's very annoying. It's very hard to understand.
I have one of my colleagues here in linguistics went to Manchester. She did her PhD in linguistics in Manchester.
Yeah, the woman who's over the course of the book that I'm reading on Ramesses, I can't stand the way she writes. They write so authoritative, like facts, like they was right there. And every little thing, I mean details of how it went. Oh, I
They
can't
do all
stand
this
it.
stuff like that all the time.
Yes, it's crazy.
You know when I first noticed that was National Geographic.
Well,
And now, the first time ever, humans are entering this. It's like, how do you know that? How do you know you're the first one in the cave?
And they write like that in all their things. It's their seal
Yeah,
it.
what they do is the first time a white person does it is the
It's
first time it's done.
That's the first time.
I've discovered all these people here.
Somehow they know that nobody else has been down in this cave.
And I mean, she gives details of how this happened and that.
And this one sneezed.
But this is a thing, if we don't know how to read it, then they can say, well, I'm reading it, so this is what it said, you know? And then how do you challenge them? You just say, I don't believe you, but you haven't done anything. You have to be able to say, what you read here, that's not what's wrong. So like yesterday in the presentation, here's you saying he came and ruled the black land. This is a determinative for land. It's man and woman with a plural. So that's people, right? But how do you call them on it if it's just pretty pictures?
So what
that's cool.
presentation was that?
That was on the ancient African origins of Pan-Africanism.
Where?
It was
Here in Ketchium.
Oh, really? I don't know why. See, I haven't been on the internet in a while.
Doc, you know the Thursday morning lectures.
Yes, but I usually, choose. I don't just come randomly. I choose when I want to. And a friend of mine has been very sick, so I've been dealing with him. And so I haven't been on the internet about 3 days.
Sama dum deh.
Maaf.
Enak? Dah hingga bin
Wow.
cibit
Wow.
cibir fi.
Ini boleh lah benda. Boleh.
Wa
Boleh ini.
khamna
Wah.
So I
Bung nang
show
bin
y'all.
fi wa cibir wa
Bawa ni hal ni.
This. 'Cause it helps
fi
me.
मैं को
And
देती
something that they probably they actually know it.
Lagi balai dengan ni.
bi wa
B.
bi
Wow. Web. Bi membing koi baik fi. Ambil bi. Bi sunu mama yau.
Menga baik
Mabai. Lagi mana?
He can eat.
oh nak ko sebagai
Wow.
And so they have rubber.
kata dah
No,
That's why.
about a dog.
Yes,
I know.
what is
Yeah.
this?
It's about a dog.
I'm good, I guess.
okay
Okay. Alright, see, this is not good enough.
No?
19th through 25th. Okay. Let me get back to you on that. I have to look at my calendar. Okay.
like that a lot.
I want to show you this is a app for using this. And you download it, Play Store, right? And it's from Spotify. But they have like several different ones. I think this is the ones I do download at the Play Store. You go to the
She has an Apple, Apple. They might have something in the Apple store that's analogous
How
to
you
it.
say how it is to flash.
But there are flashcards. There's also a dictionary. I don't know if you all have that one too.
No, I'd like to see you have it on your phone.
You have.
I'd like to see it. But I like the one you gave me. Let's see.
I think it's made by the same ones. It has the similar looking graphics, but it has this, so you can see what each and every one is, and it's arranged according to Gardner.
Let me see that.
Here, F4. I'll show you the different variations of it.
Okay, so what's it called? I like that.
So it's, I think it's called Hieroglyph Dictionary. And then here, let's say you come here and say, okay, well, what's this? Hati, probably something to do with the heart, right? That's what it is. So you come here, Hati, thoughts.
Oh, yes, I definitely would like that. And it is related because the signs are pretty much the same.
Have you listened?
So it would be dictionaries.
Yeah. This is,
Okay. Yeah, I would enjoy this.
So you're saying one forward is also a messenger.
right. So that's the idea when you say opener of the way, that this is the one who goes out in front before everyone else, opens the way.
Sound value for this one. What's the sound value for the foreign line?
Hustle.
Yeah, Hasset. Hasset.
Well, there it is. Alright, so this was going to be just a brief review and then we go into other things, but our review has been our study group session. So from this time, we have homework, which is on intermarriage, royal intermarriage, and how that was different from the rest of the population, and define text. The main thing. So the discussion before was on intermarriages, what we're referring to as incest, and childbearing with relatives. And the task is to find text in Medu Neter on marriage for royals, to go into who. Now this is one thing, if you go online, you'll find various texts written in Medu Neter, so I'll show you just a sample of what you can find. So let's say we come here. So all of these are just PDFs that you can find online that has the line drawing of the Medu Neter. So here, you don't have to go to what the interpretation or translation is. You can just read what the Medu Neter is. Now other ones have photographs, so this is line drawings. Other ones have photographs in there and other things. So let me show you some of that one. So some are pictures, some are line drawings. Right. So these are from different monuments, sometimes drawings, sometimes photographs. This is what I used yesterday, right?
I remember seeing, I was there too, and saw the.
Exactly. Exactly. So, right. So here, you don't have to rely on what is somebody saying about it, how are they choosing to interpret it. You can go straight to the Medu Neter. You have the dictionary, You say, I had a child by this person. This person is also listed as my daughter, or my wife, or my this, or my sister, or whatever. And then, come back with what we see, right? So we don't want to be lazy researchers and say, oh, a white person said this, so it's not true. Because that may be the case, and very often that is the case. But we want to say, I know that this is not true because I did the research,
Yes,
right? We're in a place of learning, so that's the approach we have to have with this. And that's the reason why we're learning the meta nature, so we don't just have to take this or not take it. And if they did say something that we end up saying, all right, it's true, but we don't like it, well, now that's a different position that we're operating from. What they said was this one did marry the daughter. I don't think that's useful for African people, and then we, decide that's not something we're going to resurrect or deal with.
So now, okay.
So these images, for example, there's this glyph, the glyphs next to them. Are they describing the persons?
Yes. So here you have, this was the presentation yesterday. Here you have Ramech. This was called lacuna, which means that on the actual wall it's cut out, but because we see this, you have two different types of Ramech. So these are the citizens of the nation of Kemet. So here's one type, here's another type, right? Now the point I was making yesterday, here you see the Nahasi is translated as Nubian. You notice that the Nubian is depicted the same way as the Ramech, the person of Kemet. And here you have another one, Nahasi, and you have two types of Nahasi, just like you have two types of Ramech. This is the Amu, this is what's translated as Asiatic. You have the Chimhu, and this is what's translated as those who are in North Africa right now, the Libyan type, the Gaddafi type. So it's showing you that here, the Ramech and the Nahasi were depicted the same. Here, the Ramech and Nahasi are depicted differently, but regardless, all here we deal with black folks. Here we deal with non-black folks. The people who say they're Hebrew Israelites or who say that we're the modern day whatever, this is how your ancestors depicted them folks. And they don't look like black people, right? This is how we depicted ourselves. This is how we depicted further into the south.